Wonderful. Okay, I have to admit, when I was actually asked to share on the topic of self-care tonight, I was somewhat flabbergasted. I was thinking, do I really look like someone who takes care of myself? Then, as I was having my weekly session of food reflexology last week, I was sitting down there, I was thinking, actually I do. I do take a lot of measures to ensure that I don't get burnt out. Now, before I talk about how I take care of myself, the 3 faculties of my self-care, let me just share with you a very short story. It's the starfish story. Okay, once upon a time, there was a man walking along the beach. As he was walking along the beach, he saw a little boy busy throwing starfish back into the ocean. He walked up to him and he said, "Hey boy, what are you doing?" The boy looked at him and said, "The sun is coming up and the tide is going out. I'm throwing the starfish back into the ocean. If I don't do anything, they will all die." And then the man laughed to himself and he said, "Boy, there's so many starfish around you. What difference are you going to make?" The boy looked at him for a while. He bent down, he picked up another starfish, he threw it back into the ocean. And then he looked at the man and said, "See, I made a difference." Now, I'm sure every one of us feel like, the world is rushing at us every day. We feel like there's just so many starfish for us to throw back every day. But like what this story says, by helping one person at a time, I have made a difference. And this, essentially, is the basis of my self-care. Then you'll be asking, how do I actually ensure that, I have enough to help someone on a daily basis? Okay. I do ensure that I take steps to not run on empty. I'm sure many of you here sitting here today is in a helping profession. What this means is we're perpetually pouring out. We're pouring out to fill someone else's life. If we're not careful, what will happen? It'll be like this flask. It's going to be empty. And if we're empty, do we have anything else to pour? No. We'll be running on empty, right? That's what it means. So what do I do to ensure that that doesn't happen to me? I call this the 3 faculties of my self-care. It's seemingly simple. It's my mental health, my emotional health, and my physical health. Okay. The mental health. I actually have a very simple formula to it. 2N equals 2H. What does this mean? Okay. 2N. The 2N actually stands for nothing box and new hobby. The H stands for happiness. What's the nothing box then? Okay. I'm not too sure about you, but I like to compartmentalize my things in my life. I have a box for my family. I have a box for my kids' school homework. I have a box for my clients. I have a box for my church events. I have a box for virtually everything. But there's a box that I call the nothing box, and this box is sacred. Nobody disturbs me when I'm in this box. It just means that, like what Gina says, it's my time of solitude. And I do it best, actually, when I'm in front of a TV. And the TV cannot be showing any program. It's what I call, for me, it's what I call intelligent shows. Intelligent shows like Sherlock Holmes, Limitless, or Elementary. Now, why? Why do I actually like to watch shows like this? These are shows that actually think for me. So in essence, it allows me to just zone out. It allows me to just really take a back seat and allow the program to think for me instead of me perpetually thinking. So this is what I call the nothing box. Perhaps, for you, it could be like a walk in the park to appreciate the greenery, like Gina. But for me, it's really zoning out in front of the television. Now, the next N stands for a new hobby. If you don't know, learning something new actually releases happy chemicals. Chemicals like serotonin and endorphin. How does this work? I like to pick up new skills, or rather new instruments. Well, when I was 38, I actually picked up how to learn the cello. Right now, I'm learning how to play the guitar. It doesn't have to be, huge successes. In fact, I celebrate my little successes, like, learning a little bit, learning like, a piece that's a little bit tougher, being able to strum in a different way. I cherish these little moments, these little successes, and when this happens, it releases the happy chemicals. Yeah? Okay. Someone is like flashing the time at me, so. Okay, now my next faculty, emotional health. I have a very simple way of doing this. Talk, pray, and be merry. I'm an extrovert, and I like to talk about things. When I talk about things, it's like an outlet for me to release, and that way I don't bottle up. I think it's very important that when people share with us their baggage, when people share with us their problems, we need to find an outlet that allows us to talk it out. And I do this a lot, with my closest colleagues, my friends, and especially my family members. My spouse gets the most of it. Yeah. And I'm sure all of us know that, we're not God. We can't do everything. Some things are completely impossible and completely out of our hands. So for me, I pray. Yeah, I spend time praying, not just for myself, but for my clients, because at the end of the day, my role is really to help them. And it's when it's beyond me, that's when I really leave it to God, the Almighty. Yeah, and this is where I really find my happiness in. The third faculty, this is my physical health. So what do I do to ensure that I take care of my physical health? I run. It's as simple as that. But in the process of running, I do a lot of things. Yeah. I know that I broke it up into an acronym, but in essence, this is really what I fulfill during my run, when I need to take time out for myself. I actually reflect, I reconcile, I recalibrate, and then I recharge. What does this mean? When I run, it allows me to actually think through the day, what happened, what could be done better. It allows me to actually recalibrate, on what I could how I could actually do it better the next day. And it allows me to recharge as well, because some things are, as I said earlier on, some things are beyond us. And I think it's very important for us to take a back seat sometimes and accept the inevitable. Yeah? And when we actually sit down and accept things that we can't change, it allows us to move on to things that we can change. And that itself allows me to recharge. Yeah? And the U actually stands for the unification part, and the part that makes me feel like, hey, forget about the things that I can't make a difference. Let's just move on to things that I can make a difference. And that itself gives me some form of satisfaction. And with that thought in mind, it helps me navigate better as well. It helps me have a better perspective from a different angle, and I can see things a lot clearer. Now, actually, my presentation is really short, and I just want to leave you with this very last saying. Just do remember that it's not selfish to love yourself, to take care of yourself, and to make your happiness a priority. It's a necessity. If you look at what I've got to share today, taking care of yourself doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be a really costly vacation every year. It doesn't even have to be my costly foot reflexology. But at the end of the day, it's really about taking care of the little things in your life, to spend time, to recalibrate for yourself. Yeah, that matters most. Okay, with that, I'm open to any questions.